gone to your doctor's appointment, and as you're going into the office, you're thinking, this is going to be a great appointment. I have all the confidence in the world. I got back all my blood results. I got back all my scans. Everything is great. Maybe we're going to be able to change some things. Well, that's how it was when I went to my oncologist yesterday. I got a little bit of a curveball, and I want to take you through it. My name is Frank Soltesz. I'm a stage 4 prostate cancer patient, and this is Cycling with Cancer. So yesterday was my quarterly follow-up with my oncologist, and I was feeling really good going in there. I had both my body scan and my bone scan come back, and both were negative, clean as a whistle, and I felt great. I just had my annual appointment with my doctor, and I had all my blood work done there. Everything was spot on. It's been a long time since it's been spot on. So I'm figuring I'm going to be able to go into this. As I had the discussion with my oncologist at the beginning of my hormonal treatment, he said, well, after a couple of years, what we're going to do is we're going to do a body scan and a bone scan. If they come back, we could think about probably taking you off your hormonal medication. And I'm thinking, oh, this would be great. So here we are, 2 years later, and I'm walking into the appointment, and I'm feeling really good. So I get led into the room, and they take my vitals and everything, and as my wife and I are sitting there, a different doctor comes in, and she explains that she's working here temporarily with Dr. Byrne, my oncologist, and she had some questions to ask, you know, the normal routine questions, which I answered. And she said she's going to go back to talk to him, and then he's going to come in. So that's what we did. And a couple minutes later, Dr. Burns comes in, and he starts asking, you know, some other questions and stuff. Ask me how I feel and all, and do I, you know, am I nauseated? Am I vomiting? Do I have diarrhea? You know, anything that's related to my hormone, you know, my hormonal medication. I said, no, everything's going great. I feel fantastic. He goes, well, that's great. Let me hear, you know, your heart. Let me hear how you're breathing. So we went through that. He says, all sounds good. And he goes, you know, I reviewed your scans. There's no recurrence in either one, so that's great. I said, on that note, I said, we did talk about if everything is okay, can I get off my hormonal medication at least? So I know you said the Lupron shot I get, I'll probably get that for the rest of my life. But what about the hormonal medication? He said, you know, he says, you're doing so well right now, without a trace of anything, that we don't want to really impede that progress. So we want you to stay on that. I said, okay, sure, no problem. I could literally live with that. So we talked a little bit more about it and stuff, and you know, thanked him, shook his hand, and you know, my wife and I were really happy. But in the back of my mind, I had my expectation of getting off that, and I couldn't. And you know, I was a little depressed about that. But that quickly went away, because as I thought about it, I think of all the other cancer patients that are going through a heck of a lot more than I am. And they're getting the real chemo medicine and everything, and how they are. And you know, I just couldn't accept the fact to feel bad about that. I can live with what I have, you know, because of my prostate, and which I don't have anymore, but because that's been reduced. My testosterone and everything. I don't have the strength or the stamina I used to have, and I was hoping to get that back. So when I go out cycling, I can get back to riding the way I was, the strength I had to climb hills and all. But if it's not meant to be, it's not meant to be. I can still go do those things. There's a lot of people who are going through stuff they can't. So I thank God that I've got the results, and I can keep going the way I am. I wanted to share that because in the last video I said I would, and I'm just going to keep going. If there's anybody who's gone through something like that, where you were expecting something and it, you know, wasn't what you were expecting, and it kind of hit you and brought you down a bit, or maybe it was the other way. You figure you're going into an appointment, and then all of a sudden they come up with some great news, and now all of a sudden your medication's changing, or you're getting taken off of it. I'd love to hear it in the comments below. Please. It's things like that to help that help keep me going and puts a smile on my face. So if you do have that, or you want to know something else about what's going on with me, or you have questions, or there's subjects you want covered, please put them in the comments below. I love to read them. I love to answer them. And in a short while, I'm going to finish up part 2 of my insurance. I'll have the co-pays and grants video coming out. And boy, I'll tell you what, I thought I knew some stuff before, but after doing some deep dives, it really opened up my eyes. So I want you to keep an eye out for that. I want to thank you so much for taking the time to look at this video. I really appreciate it. This is Cycling with Cancer. I'm Frank Soltis. I want you all to have a great day.